I recently listened to a podcast about high heels, and it turned out to be way more interesting than I thought it was going to be, because I learned that high heels were first invented for and worn by men to sit securely in the saddle when they were riding on the high horse, and why that has changed, and what that's got to do with kilts and vanity. That's what I'll be talking about in this episode of the MenTell Health Podcast. Welcome to the MenTell Health Podcast. I'm Tim, and I invite you on my journey to talk about men's mental health. Before we begin, as always, a brief disclaimer. I am in no shape or form a mental health professional. I'm just a bloke that has experienced struggles with his own mental health and now wants to get more people talking about it so we can engage in the topic in a healthy and supportive way. Yes, as my introduction has maybe hinted at, in today's episode I would like to talk about vanity, and I'll do that by looking at three specific topics. First of all, what is vanity and where does that even come from? Second, what has that to do with men? And third, what has that to do with power? Interesting, isn't it? Yes, let's jump right into it. Vanity. Something that has, for at least most of my youth and my young adulthood, been associated mostly negatively with women, unfortunately, and more recently also with men. And it has, as one of the 7 deadly sins, become something to look down on or to frown upon, to be too preoccupied with your own looks, and to mold your own looks on some form of ideal that either is something that you have set yourself, which is rather rare, but mostly has been set by other people for you. Now, one part is that we are vain, in quotation marks, when we focus on what we look like and that take too much care of how we look like, and that used to be something associated mostly or solely with women and them wanting to look good and doing lots of routines in order to look a certain way, and that has changed now because as I will get into more in a second, that's also something that more and more men do now. But it is also something that we judge people on, either as them being too vain or as them not fulfilling some form of standard of what they're supposed to look like, and what they don't fulfill. Something that maybe some people don't know is that the inventor of the inventor of the handheld disposable shaver thingy, razors, that's the word. The inventor of the Gillette razor, who was called Gillette, really wanted to make more money. And he thought, well, I really am already making money with men and them shaving. That's good. We've kind of got men to shaving their face to look more civilized and stuff. Because, only a clean-shaved man at the time was a well-respected man. Because, before the Gillette razor came about, it was more rather expensive to always have a clean-shaven face, because, when there were no mirrors, you had someone else that needed to do it, or when mirrors weren't as available, you had to go to a barber shop to have someone else do it, which was time-consuming and money-consuming, so it was a sign of status that you had a shaved face. And now, once that razor was invented, almost any man, because they were more affordable, could start shaving their face and look a certain status. But Gillette obviously thought, hey, I'm only making money with 50% of the people. How can I make more? How can I get the other 50%? Because, almost no woman was shaving themselves at that point. There was no, oh my God, look at the armpit hair, that's disgusting, which of course it isn't. Or look at the hairy legs, they're like, why would anyone want that? Which, it's bullshit. Because back then, that's just what women looked like. They had hairs under their arms and they had hairs on their legs, and that's it. But then Gillette was like, if I get them to shave those parts, then I get money, because they have to do that regularly for most of their life if they want to be considered beautiful. So they'll have to buy my razors. So he started a very, very prominent and very dominant marketing campaign aimed at women, telling them, hey, you know what? Those hairs under your arms that you haven't even ever thought about in any shape or form, or on your legs, that never concerned anyone, that never anyone thought to be something that you should get rid of, they're disgusting. Get rid of them. You need to shave them. If you want to be beautiful for a man to marry you, which is, your ultimate goal in life, then shave them off. And the easiest way to do that is by buying my razors, because they're the best, and men swear on them. And if they see your smooth legs, your smooth armpits without any hair on them, they just fall for you. Yeah, and it was successful, as we know now, as we now know, because in modern times we see the shaved armpit and the shaved leg as the standard, and young girls start shaving them before they even completely start growing how they're naturally supposed to be. And the movement against that, where women start growing their armpit hair and their leg hair, is seen as the weird one, even though that's just their natural body. And for some reason, we've convinced them that their natural body is wrong. And if you want to shave any part of your body because you think in your personal belief that that's nice and beautiful and you like it, go for it. Of course. If you don't, then that's also fine. That's your body. But my point being is that someone arbitrarily decided that this part of a woman's body is not correct and should be changed in order to make money. And that's how the seed of vanity in the regard of body hair in women was sown and grew beautifully for the industry, because there's lots of money being made by different products, be it razors and these machines that pull the hair out, or waxing, or cream, anti-hair cream, or whatever, and then also the lotions for afterwards. The light anti-hair light thingies, laser removal, what have you. All of the stuff makes a shit ton of money by telling women that the hair on their body is not good. And we've many other aspects, be it makeup, be it certain hair products, be it clothing, whatsoever. We've done that with women for centuries, and we're doing the same to men. We have been in the past, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute before, but it's something that has happened more and more and more. And now more and more men are being very, very self-conscious about the way they look, and both men and women are becoming more and more conscious about the way that men look, that other men look. It's kind of the same thing twice. So whilst we have a whole mega industry telling women, big in fashion, body changing, makeup, whatever way, how wrong it is to be themselves, and then get people to tell them as well. We now do the same to men. Instead of stopping that for women, we've kind of decided, well, if we're doing it for women, we should do it for men too, which I guess is fair, but kind of the opposite direction we should have been going, because we're putting more and more pressure on ourselves. And now men are very self-conscious about their height. I mean, just go on any dating app and you see that if a man is under, for the listeners that grew up with feet, it's 6 feet, and for any other sane person, it's like 1.80 meters. That's like the height limit. If you're below that, then you're not good enough. I'm below that, so obviously I'm not good enough. Same goes for the weight of men, especially the generations that like born in the 80s and later have been brought up being very self-conscious about not being overweight, being very, very fit. You see all these bodybuilders, all these social media personalities that advertise a certain body shape and certain body composition to be the only attractive and the only desirable one for men. So men and boys, and I talked about that in the episode where I talked about the Hollywood myth and the Hollywood lie. And if you want to listen to that, I'll put that up there and in the link in the bottom of the description. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, just scroll through the previous episode, then you'll find it there. So they are ruining their bodies, or not all of them are ruining them, but they are ruining their mental health mostly by trying to achieve this one physique. If they achieve it, it's never good enough. If they don't achieve it, if they look overweight or don't fit into that criteria, then they feel unattractive, not worthy, not good enough, which in my personal experience, because that's something that I feel very regularly because I'm someone who struggles with weight when I'm in a very depressed phase. I struggle to control how I eat and what I eat, and then I could easily gain a lot of weight in a short amount of time, and then I'm not in a depressed phase, and I lose some of that weight slowly because it's much harder to lose weight than it is to gain weight unless you want to gain muscle. I found for me personally. Yeah, and then I feel very unattractive, and then the depression just lasts longer and longer because I eat more and I gain weight easily and quickly, and then I lose some of it again, and then I yo-yo again and again and again. And it does something to me mentally because I always feel unattractive the more weight I gain. And we're starting to embrace more and more women with different body shapes as, beautiful as they are. And we should do the same for men. And I try to do that, but I'm not extroverted enough to post pictures of myself without, showing my body. So if anyone's out there, please reach out to me and let's promote different body shapes for men as well. So men are just as much being made aware of their height, aware of their body shape, but also made aware of the hair they lack or have too much of. I am very aware of that I don't have any hair on my head, and I feel unattractive because of this. And I know people keep telling me that I have a nice head shape and stuff, and that's good, obviously, because, I can't really change this. But I still always have it in the back of my mind that, if I had a full set of hair, like all the people that are promoted on TV or in ads on the street or whatever, that's a sign of youth, and I'll be young and desirable again if I have a full head of hair, and without it, I'm not. But also if you have too much hair in different areas, just like we did with women, if you have a hairy back, that's disgusting. You shouldn't do that. If you have hairy arms, that's disgusting. You shouldn't do that. If you have too much hair on your chest or on your stomach, that's disgusting. The pubic area, if you have hair there, that's disgusting. So I have hair in all of these locations. So I always feel very self-conscious if I go swimming or whatever. Oh my God, I have all this hair and I should get rid of it. So we do that. We have made it very, especially because we make porn very easily accessible. We made men aware of the fact that they should have a massive penis in order to be good at sex, which does have basically very little relation to each other, the size of your penis and the way you are at sex. But, men are very self-conscious about it and do terrible things to their genitalia in order to achieve this. So we do that, great. But at the same time, as we do all of this and tell men that they need to change the way their hair looks, change the way their body looks, change the way their penis looks, change their height, which they can't do, we also tell them as soon as they do that and as soon as they become vain, that's wrong. They shouldn't do that. Men shouldn't care about the way they look. If a man cares about the way they look, then they're either, not man enough, because only a non-manly man cares about what they look, or they're just trying to be dicks or douches or whatever, or they are superficial, and the way they care about themselves, they also only care about other people. So they can't get it right. Just like women can't get it right, now also men can't get it right. And we put a lot of pressure on all of us to look a certain way and to behave a certain way. And we judge other people. We body shame. And we make fun of people that care about their looks. I've read this statement made by a plastic surgeon who said that their patients are now equally made up, 50-50, of men and women alike, with different things they do to their bodies, be it trying to look younger by facelifting, trying to look thinner by liposuction, trying to get some shapes be remodeled on their body to look a certain way. And with both of them, if they do that, we tell them, oh my God, how can you do that to your body? Why would you? That's such a waste of money. Whilst at the same time telling them if they don't do it, they are not worth anything. They're not valuable enough. So what are we supposed to do? All of us. We look at people and decide for them if they're good enough or not. And if they then don't try to do stuff in order to fulfill a certain way that they look, we call them vain and superficial and not nice people, basically. And obviously, some people that are vain are dicks, but not all of them. And some people that are not vain are dicks too. That doesn't necessarily say anything about who you are. Only the way you interact with other people kind of tells me if you're a dick or not. Something that is not really talked about often when it comes to vanity in anyone, but also in the way that we perceive who we deem attractive and how they look and how they achieve that look is the classist nature of it. Because people that are very fit looking or that have a certain body type or a certain fashion style look that way because they can afford it. They have the money, they have the time, they have the connections to have that workout routine, to get their treatment done, to have that kind of outfit, to buy it, or even to have someone else do this for them. We have these fashion icons that are fashion icons because they have someone else that does it for them to be that way, but also they can look a certain physique because they train a lot. Again, this is in the episode about the Hollywood myth or the Hollywood lie. Either click there, or if you are listening to this on a podcasting app, just scroll through the previous episodes. Yeah, and along with this sense of, or with this classist nature of that people can afford it, and if you can't afford it, then you either feel like a failure because you don't have the money, or if you go into debt or whatever to make that happen, you are then in debt and feel like a failure because of this. And that's the majority of people. They can't do that, but yet we deem these very few to be the end all. Like, this is what we need to look like. This is what we need to achieve as physique and looks. And alongside that goes the element of power. And I've started this episode with the high heels, and I need to go back to them now because, as I said, high heels were invented to be worn by men to ride horses. And at the time, they soon turned into a fashion symbol, like something that men wore if they were wealthy in a specific way. And then they became higher and more and more elaborate designs and looked weirder and weirder and weirder and more specific, because they were a symbol of power and wealth. So was for men wearing makeup. So was for men wearing wigs. So was for men wearing fancy, in quotation marks, outfits or elaborate outfits, skirts, frocks, very dainty at some point, even clothes. They were all perceived to be what the elite, the people in power, and the people with the money wore. But as soon as the people that were not in power started wearing them, and by that I also very much mean women, because for the majority of history to this day, lots of women are not in a position of power. They became something that men should not wear anymore, because men should only wear what's associated with power. And that's why now, everywhere we go, we see men, or the majority of men, looking very much the same. They wear trousers, maybe shorts, but mostly trousers, because shorts, again, if you show leg, you're basically a woman. Shirts, and that's it. In winter, they can wear a jumper sometimes. And you have some kind of variance when it comes to this, or some, a suit as well. But that's very much the blueprint of what a man is supposed to look like and what a man is supposed to wear, regardless of how vain they are. No, because that's what the people in power wear. And you see that in politics or in companies, the CEOs, the managers, what have you. They all kind of wear this outfit. And it doesn't matter if they're men or women, because women wear this outfit too. They sometimes maybe wear a skirt, but that's becoming less and less. They wear trousers now, because trousers are a symbol of power. And they're finally being let in, some of them, not all of them, some of them are being let in into positions of power and decision making. So they wear trousers. Why wouldn't they? I mean, for decades, centuries, we've told everyone, if you wear the trousers, you are the person in power. We say, who wears the trousers in this relationship? Because the trousers are what the men wear. That's how they're fashionable. That's what they should wear. That's all they are allowed to wear. And if you go to a shop, I find it frustrating when I rarely go to a shop and look at the clothes that men are allowed to wear. It's frankly very limited. And it's if that's the style that you like, cool, go for it. You have a hell of a lot of choice. If that's not the style you like, then that's, good luck trying to find something else. Especially if you're not a rich or young or skinny, thin person who can wear lots of variants, or sometimes even something that's, made for women that just also fits them. Because you see lots of, like I said, the fashion people in the media who are like fashion icons. The kind of outfits they wear are not something that's easily available for everyone, because either they have it made for them, or it's very expensive to get it because they're unique, or they only fit people that have a certain body type. Or if you wear that in the normal in quotation marks, job market, then nobody hires you or makes fun of you or kind of alienates you. And I find that very frustrating, because the lives of people, again, and I know it's not that big for most of us, the clothes that we can wear, but they are something that help us to be unique and to express our personality. I can't do that with my hair anymore. That's been taken from me. Well, not been taken, like my genes have just said, well, let's attack those hair follicles, because fuck them. But and then you can't wear all of these clothes unless you are in a very specific job sector, or have the money and the leisure to do that. Because otherwise the people in power dominate and dictate what you're supposed to look like. And the same is true for women, of course. And the same is true for people of the trans community who don't look this specific way, because, the people in power look a specific way. And if you don't fit into that, then you're something that can be attacked. And so are men who are vain, in quotation marks. By vain, I mean just conscious of the way they look, conscious of the way they are being perceived, because that's what we tell them. They should, but then we tell them to stop doing that because that's weird. That's what women do. Stop doing that. But the same we do for women. So basically fucking all of us. And that's mostly because we have people in power who tell us what we're supposed to look like. And if we don't fit into that, then we're wrong or not valid, not valuable enough. That's frustrating. That's annoying. And I could talk more about it, but I get no. And I would love to talk more about it, but I would love to talk to someone, with someone about it, or have someone else tell me their perspective. So if you're out there and you resonate with anything that I've said so far, leave a comment, leave a review, message me. You can reach me on men-tell-health.com, Tim at men-tell-health.com, Instagram, MenTell Health _podcast, YouTube, MenTell Health Podcast. There's many ways you can reach out to me. I would be so happy to hear from you and to talk to you, be it on the podcast or behind the scenes, and then relate what you've said with your name or anonymously, to all the other people that are listening to this podcast. And to have more people listen to this podcast, I would be super, super, super happy and super thankful and grateful if you could share this podcast with other people, give it a rating or a review on YouTube or any of the podcasting apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcastle, Pocket Thingy, any of the other ones. Google Podcasts, I think, also exists still. That would be very, very helpful, so that this podcast reaches more people. And speaking of reaching people, I've recently, and maybe they're listening to this, so shout out to them, been messaged by someone I went to school with who stumbled upon this podcast, and they reached out to me, and it made me super happy. So yeah, thank you very much. And like that, I would love to hear from anyone else. So yeah, this is it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember, I hear and I see you, and I hope you hear and or see me again next week. Goodbye.